For my 3 storytelling events, I went to church, I watched a Twitch live event, and then I went to the storytelling event at the Irish Bistro. The first event that I went to was church, and during that, the sermon was, or the readings were from Luke 3:4, pretty much saying that all flesh shall see salvation of God. And I thought that was, I guess, pretty powerful. But in terms of how it relates to public speaking, the pastor, Father Justin, he had to speak in front of the entire church in a crowd. And Father Justin has an accent, pretty thick one, but I thought he worked around it pretty well by using pauses, kind of like we learned in class, and stretching out his words and articulating more and emphasizing his articulation so we could understand him, and talking slowly and using his pauses to his advantage. Also let him catch his breath and say what he had to say and think about what he was saying. So when he was giving his speech, it wasn't like you couldn't really follow what he was saying or you couldn't understand it. It was very straight through. He also didn't use a mic, but rather used his voice projection. So when he was speaking to us about and referring to the pieces in the Bible, he was saying it loudly and using certain words like more power words in the Bible. He would say them more loudly and more direct. Again, kind of like we learned in class. And in terms of the experience, it was a Catholic church. It was St. Mary's Catholic Church. So, you start with a prayer. He says, then the pastor says a prayer. Then you sit down, you listen to a few readings or accounts of whatever Jesus was doing. And then he finally gives you the core reading, and he says his little speech afterwards. And then, you break bread and you get the wine, you drink the wine. I've been to church all my life, so it wasn't a new experience, but it was still a pretty cool experience. And it was off campus too. Yeah. And then the second event was the Twitch Live event, which was a Twitch Live event of this video game tournament called League of Legends. And in the tournament, it was for Worlds. They have this called League of Legends Worlds Tournament. And the 2 final teams that were playing for the best of 5 during the live stream was Dragon X, or DRX for short, and then T1, which is just T1, a Korean team, versus, I think, Dragon X is a European team. And in the video game, it's called League of Legends. The video game is it's kind of strategic. It's 5 versus 5, and there's lanes with towers in them, and then there's a jungle or a forest with certain monsters that you have to kill off for gold or inexperience. And then you also have to worry about the opponents, and you have to kill each other for gold and experience. And there's 150 characters in the game, all with different abilities and strengths and weaknesses. So it's kind of a strategic game. And in this tournament for the best of 5, the first round, T1 They stomped them. It was pretty bad. And T1 was the favorite to win because T1 was like the better team. In the first round, T1 stomped them, DRX. In the second round, T1 won again, actually. And then DRX pulled out a three-peat to win the finals of Worlds. And the commentator was David Turley. David Turley has been commentating various Riot Games tournaments and on Twitch, and he always does a pretty good job. He has very good voice projection, but he also commentates very knowledgeably. Like, he has a lot of credibility when he's commentating. He's like saying exactly what they're doing in like real time, and giving the audience a clear-cut explanation of exactly what they're watching and what they're looking at. So you can't get lost, and that's like important. Also, when they finally did win, he also like announced their like who they are, who DRX is, and kind of gave them like a good exit and to give their award. And he did like how we do our announcements in class, like now introducing I Chandler or something like that. So that was something we learned in class, giving someone like their opener. And then also just like the way he was commentating, like, because it's live, so he makes mistakes, but he just keeps going, doesn't stop, because in a live you can't stop. So he did a good job with that and didn't like, I guess, fold under pressure. Also, there was a live performance, but it was from like some band. I didn't know the name or bother their interest in the name or who they were. They weren't bad, but they're decent. And then yeah, and then for the for the third storytelling event, I went to the storytelling event at the Irish Bistro, hosted by one of Miss Nikki's friends. And it was a pretty cool experience. I ended up going with Steve, Duncan, Adriana, Shy, and I forgot the other kid's name. But it was pretty cool. There was 5 people who gave us a story. And one of my favorite stories was by this African-American gentleman. Well, this black guy, and he was telling a story about how one time he hit a cat in the middle of the road, like roadkill, and it was all bloody up on his car and ruined his car. But he was more of a feminine man and was kind of icked out and scared and didn't know what to do. And he like tried to call pest control or something, but they took like forever. And then he finally he said he wanted to deal with it himself because, you know, he heard like his father's voice talking to him saying that you're not a man and stuff like that. But then it was funny because in the end he said, you know what, I'm not a man. Well, I'm not that masculine. And he just went ahead and called someone in again and helped him out and went on about his day. And then another woman, she spoke about how much she missed like her pre-COVID life, and how even though we're slowly going back to normal, things aren't exactly the same. And as she was just mentioning, how she missed that, but that she found comfort through music, and various songs helped her get through various points in her COVID dilemmas. Another guy, he gave a speech about how his grandfather wouldn't let him take his drink out of the kitchen because he was not a man or like of age yet. And like the guy is like 20 something at this point, like drinking alcohol, still in the kitchen. And he just told a funny story about how he finally stood up and rebelled. And instead of his grandpa getting mad at him, his grandpa like took him down to the basement and popped a beer with him. And then another man went on about just some crazy stuff in his medical history and various challenges and hills he had to climb, but he still like made it through. And then the fifth lady, she was a professional storyteller. I forgot her name as well. But she told a story about her husband who was suffering from Parkinson's disease, which is like a disease that slows various movements down and gives less control over the body. And she was giving a story about how one time they had an opportunity to drive a Ferrari, which was her husband's dream, but her husband has Parkinson's disease, so it's kind of risky, but they did it and made it out alive, obviously. But I really enjoyed that or storytelling event, because not only was like the stuff going on relative to what we learned in class about voice projection, and they were using pauses, they're emphasizing various words, and really looking around at the crowd and being engaged with the audience, trying to make us laugh and stuff. But also because it was cool to see like just almost like there was one professional storyteller, but almost just random people going up there just to tell a story, signing up, just telling something funny that's happened, or something they want to get off their chest that's happened in their lives. And I think that's pretty cool and very powerful and pretty awesome, because people can connect in various ways and you don't even know. And then again, it also shows that, you know, anybody can do it. Not anybody can do it, but like anybody can go up there and just be confident in yourself and give us a proper speech. So that was also pretty cool. So yeah, that was the 3 events that I went to. There might be a cut because my phone had died. Thank you for everything, Miss Nikki.